Let's start the third chapter of grade 9, that is coordinate geometry. This is the chapter that you are studying first time, and that's very important as well, right? That's going to help you in grade 10 as well, and obviously in grade 9. So first of all, let's start. Why do we need this chapter? Okay, this concept in mathematics helps to locate something, right? You want to talk about some position, right? If you want to talk about some directions, this chapter says about that only. You want to identify the location of some things, like let's say on a map. Even on Google Maps, you see there are some squares, right? It's all about coordinate geometry. Okay, so we are going to learn what is this, why do we need this, and how to understand and how it is helpful to us in daily life as well. So first of all, coordinate geometry. This concept was first given by French mathematician René Descartes. The name was René Descartes. After his name, we have derived the system, that is Cartesian system. Cartesian system. Whatever we are going to learn about is about Cartesian system, and the complete system is called as a coordinate geometry. Okay, so let's talk about the basic concepts. You must have some idea related to that already. So in grade 8, you learn about the number line, right? You start from 0, then you go over here as the positive side, then finally on the left hand side you go as the negative numbers, right? We know about this. You can move either in the left or right direction. You can move in any of the left or right direction. Okay, you are standing at -2, you can go to 2 as well, right? Taking some steps. Now the problem arises when we want to move up and down. In this system, we cannot move up and down. You have never dealt with this kind of problem so far. Okay. For that, what we need to do, we need to make this number line as a standing one, right? Then we can move it. So this particular system, right, we have two number lines. I'm just talking about the basic idea. I want you to understand that, right? You need to have two number lines. Let's say I have one more number line over here that allows me to go up and down. So this is it all about. Now here, if I want to talk about, let's say there is a mountain over here, right, and I want to locate it. So for that, I need help of 2 points, right? I will be saying from horizontal direction, you move 2 steps, and vertically you go this amount of steps. Then you will be able to find the mountain. This is it's all about. Now this concept is very useful in the programming as well. You talk about automatic machines as well, right? That can drill the hole in the particular sheet. You need to give the location. How do you give that location? You give the location based on this concept only. You start at some point, then you give direction, go towards D, right? Then move 3 steps up and hold and drill the hole there. This is how helpful this particular branch of mathematics is. So we are going to learn about how to understand this, how to give numbers. We have proper names as well, right? So we can understand the concept of it. So the next topic we are going to learn about is about the Cartesian system. Let's learn about the Cartesian system now, right? So I told you there is a one horizontal number line that we already aware about, right? That is the old concept only, right? Positive number will be on the right side, negative number will be on the left side. That's going to stay as it is. Now, one more thing will be added that I've shown you in the previous topic, that we are going to add one standing number line as well. Okay, and we have given proper names to that. Now, what are those names? Let's start with the names. First of all, this is x, positive x, right? And here it is x dash. Okay, now this means that it is positive x axis, right? Okay, now you must be thinking what is axis over here. Okay, so this horizontal and vertical lines, we call it as axis, right? Vertical axis and horizontal axis, you can say that as well. Now horizontal axis, right, we are dividing into two parts, positive x-axis, and guess what, this will be negative x-axis, negative x-axis, x-axis. Done. That's negative x-axis. Now come to the vertical line. Now for vertical line, we have given name as y and y dash. We have given name y and y dash. This is x-axis, this is y-axis. Okay, where there is a positive component, we give normal name, and negative component we give dash. Now think, where will be the positive and where will be the negative here, right? So this is without the dash, so it should be positive, and this is with dash, so this is positive and this should be negative. So let's write, this is positive y-axis, done. And this one, this is negative y-axis. Okay, so we have basically two axes and we have divided into equal parts like positive, negative, then positive and negative. This is how we have divided. Now still there is one interesting point over here. You must be thinking that I have put 0 over here, but it's not the 0. Now this is very interesting point where two axes intersect each other. This is very interesting point. Remember, many times questions are being asked for one word. This is very common question. What do you call when two axes intersect each other? Right, this is the question. Now see, y-axis here, x-axis here, and they are intersecting at one point. That point is called as origin. That point is called origin. Origin means from where everything starts from. Origin, right? You can just go for the literal meaning of the origin over here. That is the starting point. I'll explain why it is. Okay, so this is the basic idea about the axis, right? X-axis, you have y-axis, right? Then you have positive x-axis, negative x-axis, then positive y-axis, negative y-axis, then origin. This is the most fundamental idea we have it. Now one more thing we can see over here, that we have 4 different parts. Okay, let's say this is complete whole square. Now it's been divided into 4 equal parts like 1 2 3 4. That is called as the quadrant. Remember, the word is quadrant for that. So let's label it, this is quadrant. Quadrant 1, then quadrant 2, this is quadrant it is 3, and next is quadrant 4, right? So it is divided into 4 equal parts, and that small part, those small parts are called as quadrants. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Now remember, the names are given anti-clockwise, right? And this is fixed. You cannot say this is quadrant 1, then 2, then 3 and 4. No, not like that. This is very common idea universally, that we consider this as the quadrant 1 always, quadrant 2 always, 3 and 4. It is fixed. We cannot change on our will. When we talk about quadrant 1 in question, we are always talking about this part of it. We are not talking about any other quadrant. Then we want to guess it, right? So let's sum it up what we learned in this topic. First of all, there are 2 axes, okay? Horizontal axis, that is called x-axis. Vertical axis, that is called y-axis. Now, when these 2 axes meet, we call it what? Origin. Important point. Then those axes are divided into two parts based on the sign. Positive part, negative part for the x-axis, then positive part for the y-axis and negative part for the y-axis as well. Remember y dash, x dash. Dash is where there is a negative numbers. Next, when we draw this two axes, we can see there are four parts. So those parts are called as the quadrants. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, right? And their numbers are fixed. When we talk about quadrant 1, it is always mean that we talk about this part of the Cartesian system. Now in next topic, we are going to learn about how to locate the point and what is the meaning of it. So let's learn about the new topic, right? We learn about the Cartesian system, the basic idea about that. Horizontal axis, vertical axis, what do we call it? There is an origin, right? Now let's talk about how to locate something, right? Like I told you, suppose there is a mountain somewhere and you want to locate it. So you will be needing two information. Either you want to go to left or right, or either you want to go up and down. Remember, why I am still talking about this left and right and up and down? Because you are still not used to with this system. First time you are learning about this. If you understood at the very first glance, then it's really appreciable. But still, I want you to establish in the proper way in your brain. So either you need to go left and right and up and down, or maybe combination of it. So first of all, let's talk about the combination. Let's say there is one point over here. Let's talk about this point. Suppose there is something over there. Let's say mountain only. Let's talk about mountains. I like mountains much. Okay. So you want to, suppose you are at this point O, origin. Origin, I told you where two axes are meeting and it is this starting point. And you are starting your journey from this O to the mountain. So how will you go? First of all, let's say you want to go left and right. So you will move certain distance on the x-axis, right? And you will move up towards the y-axis. So you will be finally reaching this mountain. Now we want to have the knowledge of this step. Now see, whatever distance we move on the x-axis is called as x coordinate. Whatever distance we move on the x-axis is called x coordinate. And whatever distance we move in the y direction or on the y-axis is called y coordinate. That's very simple, right? If you move left and right, that is amount of step is called x coordinate, and if you move up and down, the number of step is called as y coordinate. So the location, right? I told you that we are talking about location about certain objects. So location of this point is given in this way: x coordinate, comma, y coordinate. So first of all, you write information about left or right steps, then you write the information about up or down step. Remember, just a very basic, if you want to just understand that, we can explain like this. Okay, left and right first, then up and down. Very logical, right? So what is the x coordinate? Whatever distance you move in the left or right direction, that's the x coordinate, and whatever distance you move in up and down direction, that is the y coordinate. So that is about x coordinate and y coordinate. Now you must be able to see there is certain two more information I've written here. What does it mean? Let's see. So this is again 1 mark question asked many times, that this is the perpendicular distance of y-axis. Write the coordinates of the points. This is a very common question. So you can see, if you move on the x-axis, it means that you are moving in the perpendicular direction to the y-axis. Perpendicular means what? Making 90 degree. Now one more information, right? This is always 90 degree. Remember, this is always 90 degree. So if you move on the x-axis, you are moving perpendicular to the y-axis. That's what I have written, perpendicular distance from y-axis, right? That is what x coordinate, right? So this is how we can relate it. Perpendicular distance from the y-axis is x coordinate. Understand, keep this figure in the mind, right? You are moving in this direction And obviously, see, this is 90 degree and you are moving away from the y-axis. Same in the reverse way, for the y-axis we can say that we are moving up, right? Okay, so this is also, if you move up, you are making 90 degree with the x-axis, so that is the perpendicular distance from x-axis, right? So let's say phi is the perpendicular distance from the x-axis, right? So you are moving 5 step up, that is basically what? Y coordinate. So this is how we come to know about the x coordinate and y coordinate. To locate any point or any position in the coordinate system, we will be needing two information, that is x coordinate as well as y coordinate. And we always write in this manner, x first and y later, right? We are also going to learn how to plot the points. First of all, let's understand the parts of it, right? So x coordinate, you move on the x axis, which is left and right. Y coordinate, you move up and down, that is the y coordinate, right? And basically when you combine them, or you can go do as well, first you move x axis, then y axis, and then you cross it, right? Intersect it. That will give you the position of the point. That is about the plotting of it, right? Now let's discuss one more topic into it, about this sign. Okay, now we know that this is the positive part, this is the negative part, here this is negative part, and this is positive part. Okay, and one more thing we'll learn about that. So first of all, let's label about it. Write the numbers here like on the number line. So this is 1, then 2 and 3. Here -1, -2 and -3, correct? And for the y-axis, so y-axis, see, remember this is positive part, so 1, then 2 and 3, and here let's say -1, -2 and -3, and this is our origin from where everything starts. So this is origin O, right? Now, so if we want to compare this with this, right, we can find the location of any point. That we will discuss later. Now come to the quadrants. We discussed that there are 4 quadrants in the Cartesian system. Let's say this is quadrant 1, then quadrant 2, this is 2, then quadrant 3, and finally quadrant 4, right? Quadrant 4. There are 4 quadrants in the system. Now we want to talk about the sign of the quadrant. Now see, in what way? I told you, for the any point in the Cartesian system, you need 2 points, that is x coordinate and y coordinate. It is like they always go hand in hand. Okay, x and y. Remember, x means the point on x-axis and y means point on the y-axis, right? So let's start first of all with quadrant 1. So if I want the sign of the quadrant 1, how shall I get it? First of all, we are going to talk about x-axis, right? Then we are going to talk about the y-axis. So let's start with that one. So x-axis we have positive over here. Only talk about this particular box, small box. So x is positive, good. What about the y-axis? See, y-axis here, that is also positive, done. So when we talk about the quadrant 2, we again start with the x-axis. Okay, so x-axis, what about the x-axis in this box only? Remember, we only are talking about this box only. So in this box, right? What about the x-axis? X-axis we are having negative. And what about the y-axis? That is positive, right? So signs for the quadrant 2 is minus and plus. Remember, x always first. Then come to the quadrant number 3. Quadrant number 3, we have x negative. And what about the y? See why we are talking about this, right? Not that one. So y is this one, that is negative, right? So both of them are negative, right? And let's talk about the last quadrant, which is quadrant number 4. Here x-axis is this one, so that is positive, right? And the y-axis is this one, so that is negative. So this is also fixed, that every quadrant has their own set of signs for each coordinate x and y, right? That is going to remain same only, and we need to remember it. In exam, this kind of questions will come, and we will discuss as well that in which quadrant the following points lie, right? What is the location of that point? In which quadrant we can find that point, right? So very common question, many times it's being repeated. So this is about the quadrant and its sign, and this is about the perpendicular. This 1 mark question from here, right? Quadrant questions from this side. Now one thing we did not discuss about, that the coordinates of the origin. Now we know that y-axis and x-axis, where they intersect, we call it as the origin, right? So do we have the location, how to find the location of the origin? At least we should have an idea where to start from, right? That is also important. It's not if it's starting point, it doesn't mean that we need to ignore it. That's the most important point. From there only we are going to start. So if we don't have an idea about this starting point, that's very confusing to start with. So origin, coordinates of the origin are, now see over here that on the number line, right, between -1 and 1, what is the number? If we only talk about the number line, 0, right? So x coordinate is what? 0. Now come to the y coordinate. Again here between 1 and -1, what number will be there? 0. So coordinates of the origin are, remember very important point, that is x-axis 0 and y coordinate is also 0. Very important point, right? What are the coordinates of the point where y-axis and x-axis intersect? That is origin, and the coordinates are 0, 0. Remember, very logically you need to remember all about the number line, right? Between -1 and 1 comes 0, so x coordinate is 0, and 1 and -1 for y-axis also 0, so that is 0 and 0, right? So this is all about the Cartesian system that we need to know. We learn about the x coordinate, then y coordinate, how to locate it, perpendicular distance, right? And about the quadrant and its signs. This concept is very important. We are going to solve few problems right now only, right? Plus plus, minus plus, minus minus, plus minus. And the most important point is x coordinate always first, then y coordinate will come. Always x coordinate when you start with the location. If you are confused which to take first, don't expect to get the right answer. You will be confused. Even I was also confused at some point, but then I realized that x should always be first. X coordinate first, then y coordinate. Now let's discuss few questions. Let's solve few questions based on the quadrant. Okay, we need to identify that following points belongs to which quadrant, 1, 2, 3 or 4. I told you that numbers we cannot give on our own. The numbers of the quadrant are fixed. This is first quadrant always, right? And the signs are also fixed. We cannot change on our will. So let's start with the first one, -5 and 3. Okay, I told you that first it is always x coordinate. Okay, so if you write x comma y, so we can see minus, x-axis is negative, y-axis is positive. So which is the quadrant where x-axis is negative, so and y-axis is positive? Okay, fortunately it's 2 only, right? So this point belongs to quadrant 2, right? This point belongs to quadrant number 2. In this same manner, let's do over here, right? So this we can say x comma y, x-axis and y-axis. X is positive and y is also positive, right? So which is that quadrant? And I think that's very easy, plus and plus. That is quadrant number 1. So this point belongs to quadrant number 1. Let's do this. 1 comma minus 3. So x and y, so plus and minus. So plus and minus is this one, quadrant number 4. So this belongs to quadrant number 4. Let's do this. 3 minus 2. So plus and minus. So I think it is similar to this one, right? So it is also quadrant number 4. Then 4 comma minus 6. Again, I think that is same, plus and minus. So this is also quadrant number 4. Then let's talk about this minus and minus. I think this is first time we'll discuss x and y. So minus and minus. So minus and minus, yes, it is quadrant number 3. Quadrant number 3 it is present in, right? Both of them are negative, x and y as well. So this is quadrant number 3. Then let's talk about this minus 4 and minus 2. Again, similar case, I think. So x minus and y as well. So it is quadrant number 3, just we discussed, right? Then 3 and 5. X-axis is positive, x coordinate is positive, and y coordinate as well. So that belongs to which quadrant? Quadrant number 1. So quadrant number 1 it is. So this is how questions are going to come. So this particular points belong to which quadrant? You need to give the answer 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe MCQ or maybe small 1 mark question. It's possible. Remember, no need to draw always this kind of complete Cartesian system. Even if you don't write the numbers and if you just draw the very small system, that will also work out for you. Just giving an idea. Let's say this is plus, minus, plus, minus. So this is plus, plus, this is minus, plus, this is minus, minus, and plus, minus. Now remember here, the most important point that you need to remember over here is x always come first. Remember, x always come first. That is the main thing here as well, because see, there are so many plus, plus, minus, minus, right? If you have an idea that x is always going to come first, then you won't be doing any mistake, right? And even by mistake, if you take y first, then your complete sets of signs will be incorrect, right? So this is just an idea how easily we can do these questions, right? So this is about the Cartesian system and how we locate the point in the particular quadrant. Now we are going to learn about how to get the coordinates and how to locate the points.